Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing Chess960, where the back rank pieces are scrambled for a total of 960 different possible starting positions. My goal is to win 3 games. Let's get started with game number 1. Without getting into the politics of whatever's going on between FIDE and freestyle chess, I have to say that I'm a big fan of Chess960, or what I would normally call Fisher Random. You can tell that as a London and Slav and Caracan player, I don't like learning theory, but we get b4 here for the first move. I really should have been analyzing the position, but I didn't. I'm just going to play a general center move, and I think that should be fine. Principles still apply. I should still be trying to control the center, developing my pieces quickly, and there is still castling, even though it's a little bit weird in this variant. Okay, we get knight to c3, targeting that d5 pawn. We'll go ahead and play c6. In the perfect world, I develop these pieces, get my queen out somehow, and then I castle kingside. But we'll see if that's actually possible. Okay, we get rook to b3, very aggressive rook lift. Let's play e5, again, just fighting for the center. We make way now for the bishop to develop. And assuming his idea was to play rook to a3 to target this pawn, that's really no longer feasible because of this move. Oh, that's kind of lame. Okay, we win, quote-unquote, our first game, but I won't count this one because we didn't actually get to play any chess. We'll just use that as the introduction, I guess, and move on to game number 2. All right, immediately paired, we get the white pieces, and I'm just going to start by attacking the center. I could sit here and overanalyze the position, but I'm going to just try to develop my pieces. I guess this knight goes to g3, we'll castle, and then we'll figure out what on earth we're going to do with all of these guys. So let's play knight to g3 first. I'd like to castle. Sweet. I know castling in this variant is a little bit weird. Your king and your rook still end up on the position they normally would in regular chess. Their starting positions are just different. That's the only real difference. We get knight to g6, mirroring our idea. Let's go ahead and play b3. I think it makes some sense that if we play d4 and knight to f3, we're fighting for the dark squares in the middle. We might as well reinforce that with bishop to b2 and create this little battery. Okay, he clearly has the same idea. We're going to play bishop to b2. Okay, we get this capture, and obviously I'm going to capture with this pawn because I don't want to expose my king. We also have a semi-open file now. We get knight to d5. Not really sure where that knight is headed. I guess to f4. It would be a little bit hard to boot from there. Let's play c4, kick the knight, and then maybe our bishop can come out to a4, right? He doesn't have a light squared bishop anymore, so these light squares are actually quite weak. Oh, knight to f4? Okay, what are you going to do about this now? Check? Can't castle out of check. So, okay, c6. It's the only way to defend that. Let's see, d5 unleashes the bishop and then puts pressure on c6. So that's quite promising. We'll go with d5. Bishop to c7. Okay, that's definitely winning the queen. We give check, we pick up the queen, sweet, and we're already winning. And I really do love this about Chess960. The opening theory, for the most part, at least right now in its infancy, goes out the window. There's really no opening theory, so it's all concepts. So what did I look at in that position? I saw the light squared bishop got traded off. I don't have a knight, he doesn't have a light squared bishop. So what squares do I need to target? I need to target the light squares. Oh, looky there, I have a light squared bishop. And then I just went for it. So we'll continue with this. Take free pawns where we can get them. And we'll go ahead and get this trade. Now that we're at material, we want to trade pieces. So there's trade number 1. Okay, we're going to get this bishop out of here before f6 comes down and breaks our battery. So let's offer another trade. Okay, king to d8. He allows the trade. And I guess his idea is king to c7 to come grab this pawn. So let's play rook to b1, because realistically, after king c7, rook b8, I could try to come with my queen and hold on to the pawn, but then there's like knight to e5. Now that he played e5, there's knight to e7 instead to target that pawn. But e5 doesn't do anything other than cement the knight. So give me the pawn. I will play check and pick up the rook if he allows it. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Nice, and we get the resignation. Okay, that's our first actual victory, so we have 1 victory under our belt. Let's move on to game number 3. Sweet, we get the white pieces again, and not a very dissimilar setup. This is quite similar. We can probably develop the same way, castle the same way as well, and although this is slightly different, the rook has now swapped with the bishop, it's a relatively normal position to play in that sense. Once you figure out how you can develop and castle, you can pretty much play it like normal chess. So knight to f3, developing our pieces, controlling the center. I'll admit it's quite amusing that our kings are already sort of castled with the rook on the outside, which could invite an idea like h4, h5, But the truth is here, we just need to play with sound principles and we'll be totally fine. There's no need to get this creative. Okay, knight to e6 instead. Doesn't seem to threaten anything new, so we'll go ahead and castle. And then I think the last thing here would be like b3, c4, bishop here. We have control of the long diagonal with a battery, and then this bishop is looking at the light square diagonal towards the king side. So b3 here seems very natural. d5 makes a lot of sense, closes off this pawn. So taking this long diagonal really doesn't do much anymore. So we'll play c4 to challenge that pawn. Okay, he actually takes it. We'll go ahead and recapture. This pawn is well defended, so there's no issue there. He probably should have left that pawn there because it's quite difficult for me to make use of these two pieces when this pawn is in the middle. But now that he's traded, I mean, it's open sesame again. Everything is fair game. Bishop b2, we're back on the long diagonal. This bishop is nice and clear still. Not really sure what this is looking for. Probably trying to develop the queen, actually. So probably trying to play like this or maybe this, but that seems a little bit too slow. We'll play bishop here, taking the long diagonal. Okay, bishop to a7. I was wrong. It was actually to develop this bishop and target the pawn. Interesting. We could just play e3 here and make our center more concrete, or we can look for a break. Although this right now gives away a pawn, right? Because takes, I guess I could take first actually, and then takes back. It's okay, but it releases a lot of the pressure unnecessarily. So we're going to play e3 first. He still has a little bit of untangling to do back here. It's not clear how those pieces are getting into the game yet. Okay, we get c5, and now I'm definitely going to play d5, right? This bishop has become a pawn because it's just staring at c5, and this is a very, very solid pawn structure. I mean, b5 could come in the future, but for right now, we have full sight into the king side, and it's really up to me to figure out how we're going to take advantage of this. Let's start with knight to g5. The loose idea is bishop takes, pawn takes. I take with the knight, and then maybe I could even sacrifice. Pawn takes back, I jump in with the queen. I still have a bishop, a queen, and a knight to work with. Okay, this bishop is not doing me any favors there, so skedaddle. See you later. Really has no choice here but to go back. If this, I can take the knight. Well, actually, that pawn threatens my own knight. That's kind of interesting. Let's do this. Let's still take. Oh, and it doesn't actually work. Should he take, I take the bishop, takes, and then there's checkmate on g7. Nice. And that's the cool thing about having really active pieces, is that you don't actually need to see this tactic, right? When I was, where was it? All the way back here, I guess, right? I didn't have to see, oh, I'm probably going to mate on g7. I just had to understand that my pieces are optimally placed. And when my pieces are optimally placed, I'm in a good position to attack. So after c5, it was very natural to push d5 and then just say, all right, I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but all my pieces are going to make it over to the king side, and we are going to get mates. All right, that's game number 2. Let's move on to well, that was win number 2. Let's move on to game number 4. Sweet, we get the white pieces again. This is a completely different setup, however. I'm going to start by developing the knights. This just seems like a very natural placement, and we might actually stay queenside castled here. Or we can test our opponent's mental flexibility. You know, we could play like c3, or rather, not really sure if c3 is right there, but maybe like c4, bishops out, and then just castle kingside, just swing the king all the way to the other side of the board. We'll give that a try. I'm not really sure if it's optimal, but it's definitely a good way to get my king safe behind these knights, and it's a clear line of sight into development. Okay, I don't know what's up with these c5 moves. Doesn't d5 work here again? Because it locks in the bishop. I guess e6 would be a good way to counter that. e4 solidifies my center. I'm going with it. I'm going d5. If anything, this bishop is a pawn, and it stops b5, which would be the only way to get at the root of my structure right now. Other than that, I'm very well defended in this position. Okay, we do get that capture. Obviously, I'm going to take back with this pawn because I'm not really interested in releasing this bishop. There is this kind of annoying check. Oh, that is a very annoying check. Oh, goodness. Okay, I guess we could just play knight to d2 and defend. Because I was thinking bishop to d2, but that drops this. And not to mention, after dropping this, it gives another check, and then, well, the rook is defended. Okay, we get queen to c7. He doesn't actually see it, which is just luck. That was just lucky. I really should have calculated that. But we'll play bishop to d2 here, since this is still, on the line. I'm assuming this is an attempt at bishop to a5, right? To trade off this pawn, basically, for my bishop. I really don't need to address it. I'm just going to play, let's go bishop to e2. Should this capture occur, I take back with the knight, I castle, I've completed my development, and I'm really okay there. Just need to get my queen out at that point. I would argue he's a little bit behind because something still has to move, right, to develop the bishop, and I am just castled now. Sweet. We actually can also work on this diagonal. I also just realized I didn't see that. I guess bishop to d7 kind of nullifies that. Doesn't really do much for me, but it's good to have in the back of our minds. Okay, knight to g6. He's a little bit slow to get the bishop out and castle. So what if I just play b4 here? Bishop comes out, worst comes to worst, I just kind of take. He takes back, knight here, and I try to break open this side of the board as fast as possible. I really want to punish him for not castling. So let's play that. Let's play b4. With any luck, we can open up this side of the board before he can castle. And should that not be possible, should the castle occur anyways, at least we can get some advantage since he's dealing with that while we just move into the position. Okay, what happens if queen takes? Bishop comes out to try to castle, c5, threatens the pawn. Pawn takes, and there's really nothing there. Okay, what about rook here right now? Bishop comes out, pawn forward. That looks mildly amusing. I'm not sure it's concrete, but I'm going to give it a try. We're going to go rook to c1 and at least mobilize our pieces. Oh, he just he just puts in chat, "Are you the YouTuber?" That's so funny. I have to say, yes, I am, and good luck. Okay, I'm not going to stress him out by telling him he's going to be on YouTube. I'm sure he'll figure that out for himself. We'll go ahead and take this pawn now. Doesn't seem like a6 does much of anything, so we should be totally fine here. I have to be careful here too as well. I'm almost down to a minute. He goes, "I looked it up. The YouTuber is iwantcheckmate, not I really want checkmate." Okay, I know I'm low on time, but I'm gonna respond to him very quickly. Okay, I just told him basically exactly what I said. Okay, he's attacking my queen now. Let's get out of there. And now we're just looking for c5. I'm quite optimistic about this because now we have c5. Should the queen come here and try to block it, we can always unclog that with knight to b3, kicks the queen. c5 comes in right behind, and we should be in pretty good shape for this game. Oh, he disconnected, it seems. Oh, that's a shame. All right, I guess that counts as win number 3, but I don't really feel satisfied with that. I've only actually won 2 games, so let's go ahead and play one more game. Let's play one more game. Okay, I actually lost my last game, but unfortunately my opponent did not want to be in the video, so so I guess I'm spared the embarrassment. We get e3 here. Let's go ahead and play d5, just attack the center in general. d4, let's play c6, and I think the natural progression here is the bishops come out this way somehow. Whoops, that's not how the bishop moves. Knight to b6 potentially, and then probably castle this way and look for e5. So let's play knight to f6. You can already see how this is somewhat transforming into a regular sort of game. We'll play knight to b6. Okay, knight to b3. We'll play bishop to g4 to pin the knight. We're still looking for e5. Knight to c4 could potentially support that as well. And I believe the natural spot for this bishop is either on c7 or d6. Probably c7, so it can sit directly in front of the queenside castled king. Okay, we get e4 right away. Is that supported? I can't just take? I'm going to take. That doesn't look like it's well supported enough. Now we're just hitting the knight that is pinned, right? The bishop can't take because it loses a piece this way. So I think we've just won a pawn for free. Potentially the exchange as well, or a piece, depending on what he wants to give up. Okay, we get bishop to g5. Hits the knight, but I guess I can just pick up the free piece now. Sweet. Should he take? Whoops. Should this capture occur, I take back with the bishop. I fork the rooks. Takes the knight instead. Okay, we'll take back with this pawn. Maybe the queens can see each other in a moment. We can get a queen trade, which would be great because we're up material. So that's actually in our favor at that point. We'll take here. We've now forked the 2 rooks. We're looking at a forced queen trade, which is excellent. And it looks like after takes and takes, we have won a clean rook. Not to mention we were also up a piece from this previous capture. He takes this pawn. Let's play king up. Get the rook out this way. We can target h2 with the rook and the bishop. Very nice. No way to defend it, so our rook is definitely getting into the game after this one. We could even capture with the bishop just to hit it with check and win that tempo. Okay, we get knight to d2. We'll do that. Check. King moves out of the way. We'll go ahead and retreat our bishop as well. It's not very well placed there, and it could get trapped later, which I'm not really interested in, so... I'm not totally sure what my opponent is calculating because this is a relatively clean conversion. And there's no real counterplay at all, actually. All right, I could even just retreat my bishops and then spend time setting up some sort of trade, get my rook into the back rank, you know, harass these pawns a little bit. We get knight to e4. What about bishop here forcing a trade? Seems sound. We'll play bishop to f5. There's no checks with the knight that would lose us this bishop. So no matter what he plays, we get a trade, which is exactly what you want when you're at material. So the leftover material is more felt on the board by your opponent. We get that recapture, bishop back. We'll go ahead and let the rook do its business back here, grab some pawns, and we should be completely winning at this point. We've even cut off the king. So the king has no activity, which in an endgame is quite an issue. We will play... Let's just bring the king up. I mean, I'm curious to see how he's going to stop me from checkmating him. Okay, we get a5. Just for the memes, we're going to play king to g5. This is not sound chess, but just for the memes, because this is so completely winning that it doesn't even really matter. Bad advice, by the way. Don't do that in your actual games. You haven't won until you've given checkmate. But in this specific scenario, it's okay. It works. We'll play king to f4. We're coming in with our own king. Even king to f3. This check doesn't work because takes. But as I kind of expected, he tries to walk away. We'll bring our own king into the game. Hit the bishop. Okay, we get bishop to c4. We'll go ahead and play check. Trade the rook for the bishop, and then just hungry hippos on the pawns. Okay, we win on time, and I'm confident in saying now that we've actually won 3 games. I'm actually really happy that I came around to playing this variant. It kind of skipped my mind that Fischer Random was actually a chess variant, which it is still at the moment, right? It's not very mainstream, but I really do enjoy it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down below if you guys really enjoyed this particular variant, or if there's anything else that you'd like me to try, and I will see you guys in the next one.